a little bit closer. All I wanna know is, can you come a little closer?
For more than 2 decades, Tegan and Sara Quinn have blurred the lines between indie rock and mainstream pop. But the duo's impact goes well beyond music. Backed by a relentless drive to bring queer visibility to the mainstream, Tegan and Sara have also been recognized for their work as social justice advocates. That fearlessness has been at the heart of their music since the twins started the band in high school.
We were like 2 little 17-year-old kids sitting up there and saying what we want to say, and we don't have nothing to hide behind. So now you're a star, you're a bloody star.
Tegan and Sara pulled from their teenage years to write a best-selling memoir, which they've now turned into a series on Amazon Prime. And now, 30 years later, they have come back to Bob Edwards School in Calgary to revisit those tumultuous years and talk about how it shaped who they are today. So you're back in your old junior high school. How does it feel?
Walking down the main hallway, I was really taking in, we have not been in this school for almost 30 years. It's like the blue of this school is like permanently burned in my memory. It was such a tumultuous, not always happy experience to be in junior high. And that all just comes rushing back walking through the school.
And for you?
It's weird. It was a tumultuous time,
Yeah.
but it's a time where a lot of really important things happened, and so it's also something like there's a fondness and a nostalgia that comes up that I'm enjoying a lot.
Nice. So I've just finished binge watching High School,
Amazing.
the series that looks into your next academic experience after you left here. Talk about tumultuous. That certainly was for both of you. But what I love about your series is that it's a Canadian high school, and it's your experiences, and it feels authentic to me. And I learned a lot. Like, one of the things I learned, for example, that I had no idea of before, is the challenge and maybe sometimes the burden of being a twin.
Oh, I mean, throughout this experience of, returning to our adolescence, what I've been most struck by is how little we had explored and talked about our experience through the lens of being twins. We've talked about being girls, we've talked about being alternative, musicians, we've talked about being gay, especially in the 1990s, that was very profound. But we rarely talk about being twins. It sort of has felt like so much of our twinness has been sort of exploited or silly. Like, it's, do you read each other's minds, and like double trouble, like, I don't know, just like dumb stuff. And so you sort of stay away from talking about it because it doesn't feel like a very serious conversation. I think we now understand that as twins, you are sort of like drawn together because you look so similar, but your body and mind are screaming like, I am my own person. I need to have my own identity. And that really felt acute in high school.
Next. Name?
Sara Quinn?
Tegan Quinn. Are you guys twins?
No.
Yes. Hey, what? Look, I know that you're mad at me, but we don't know anybody here. Don't you think we should at least have each other? I don't want to share everything with you. Just leave me alone.
I think there's an assumption that we're going through life with our best friend at our side. I think like some people have been like, oh, I'm so envious of you that you have her. But in adolescence and at fraught points of our career, it can also be a real Achilles heel to have another person just like you going through the same thing as you and almost feel interchangeable. And I don't mean to like,
Yeah.
but when people are like, Tegan, sorry, I don't remember which one you are. Can you go stand over here? Like, how often does that happen to you as a regular person, that someone treats you like your identity is completely like unimportant and could be swapped with another person. So, you know, it can get ornery about it.
But it's one of the things that I love about the series, right? Is that because it's your story, there are all of these things that people learn that you reveal that we otherwise wouldn't know. I mean, being 15 is tough for everybody. And then I feel like there was that extra layer of complexity. Well, there was the twinness, but there was also your sexuality. I mean, is there anything from the 2023 perspective that people should know about how you dealt with that?
I mean, I had a secret girlfriend in high school, so
That's how she dealt with it.
I wasn't just dealing with my sexuality in theory. You know, I wasn't just thinking about it, which I actually did a lot of thinking about my sexuality in junior high. So in practicality terms, I was able to explore my sexuality at a time where a lot of people in the 1990s in high school would not have had that opportunity. But I also feel a kind of, I feel grief because I didn't get to have the experience in a very normal way. You know, like I didn't get to bring my girlfriend home and, you know, have dinner with my mom or whatever. Or I didn't get to go to like grad, prom, whatever, with a girl. I still had boyfriends. I still said yes to going out with boys because I sort of had to perform being straight because I was really afraid of being found out as you know, I didn't want people to know that I was gay or that I had a girlfriend. And so I had sort of pushed all of that away in adulthood.
What are you doing? We're not supposed to touch Patrick's stuff. Look. Whoa. Did you know he had this? No. Careful. I know.
My favorite scene was when you discovered your stepfather's guitar. And, you know, the way it plays out in the TV show, it's kind of magical. It's a moment that changed everything for you. In real life, was it?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. When we were making the TV show, there were so many out-of-body moments of, oh my God, this is exactly how it felt, or this is exactly what it looked like. But finding the guitar, I think, is a very accurate representation of what that moment felt like in our real life. We really did find the guitar. We're extremely surprised to find it. It was our stepdad's. He'd sort of buried it in, like, you know, the basement somewhere. It was the 90s. Everybody that was cool played guitar. You know, that we could pull out the guitar and just start writing songs was, it felt like fate.
You didn't go to school today. Left me all alone to play. Got up, thought everything was fine. Found Tegan was walking that fine line between.
We just loved music. And the second we were able to make our own music, we loved writing music. We'd love to perform. And we'd always been like that as kids. You know, I can remember what it was like to come to school with our guitar and sit in the, you know, back field and play for everybody. And it was like having purpose. It was like I'd been, I mean, this is so cheesy to say, but it was like I had been in a thick, impossible to see how to get out forest. Like that's what high school felt like. I was so trapped. I had no plan. I had no idea who I wanted to be. I was grappling with so many questions about my identity. It's like the second I started playing music, a path formed. And we got out and we moved to Vancouver. We signed a record deal with Neil Young's label and we started touring the world. And we were not on that path prior to finding music. You know, we were really lost. And I think it's just dumb luck that we found that guitar and then we knew what to do with it.
I wanna get in a little bit closer. All I wanna know is, can you come a little closer? Here comes the breath before we get a little bit closer. Can't deny I'm begging for Get your ass in gear.
Among the videos on YouTube that we can see of you is a concert you did for NPR's Tiny Desk series of concerts, which was cool to watch anyway, but also it's a moment in time. It's the day before the 2016 election. It was the day before Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were pitted against each other.
I guess deep down inside, I might be a Donald Trump person. I don't know, maybe too soon? Too soon? We're Canadian and we can't wait for your election to be over too. So, but we're excited. We're gonna be here tomorrow. We're gonna watch history be made. Good luck tomorrow with the election. Fingers are crossed. We'll be drunk tweeting.
Did you end up, either of you, drunken tweeting that night?
I can tell you that that was probably one of the worst days of my adult life. We were in Washington, D.C. We felt so triumphant. We just felt like everything that we understood about the election was that Hillary Clinton was going to become the first female president. How cool. And we were there, like we were in the city. We were doing things like, you know, the Tiny Desk concert. We were really on a high.
You just knew so
It was
right
just-
away. It was so disappointing.
It was so devastating. The next day we had to play in Virginia, and I remember walking out of the hotel and people were crying, like on the streets. It was so awful feeling. And I understand that for so many people, that was a triumphant day. And it was one of the first times that I remember thinking, wow, we're so far apart right now from other people. Like, there are those of us that just are devastated, I mean, gutted. And then there were people who were like literally celebrating on the streets. It was such a polarizing time, and we really were on the front line, and we saw it happen. It really took the wind out of our sails that year, which is a big part of why we started the Tegan and Sara Foundation. We understood that especially grassroots LGBTQ organizations were going to see a reduction in funds and support from the government, and we immediately jumped into action to say, hey, we can redistribute our own wealth, our own, the money that we're making from tours. We can start to put that where it isn't in those organizations, but we can also draw in these other partners to support the community when the political landscape changes drastically overnight. We saw that we had power and we had leverage to do that.
Given how polarized the United States is, and it seems to get even further divided by the day, and given your very strong feelings about equity and representation, how difficult is it for you to go to the States, to be in the States, to deal with all of that?
Most of the places we go have very different political systems and ideas, and their relationship specifically, let's say, to LGBTQ rights and issues have been vastly different. And so I think Sara and I are no strangers to going places where we aren't necessarily seen as equal or acceptable. And we've always sort of thought of playing music and being on stage and creating community the way we do as combating that. Something I remind myself of a lot is that it is just over 10 years that I've been an equal citizen in the States. I was not allowed to be married to my partner until like 2010 or whenever Prop 8 was overruled. Like, I spent the majority of my life so far not allowed to have the same rights and privileges, like not granted those rights and privileges of other people. We made it through, and we didn't have any content in the 90s, and we still figured out who we were. You can't prevent us from becoming who we are. I feel very sad about what's happening. The rollback of rights for trans people in the States right now is very scary. America still has an enormous effect on the way the rest of the world sees people. What they're doing is very dangerous. The fact that we would do anything to make it harder to be young, especially on kids who are really questioning who they are, just seems unnecessarily cruel. And it's become such a big part of our mission as a band and as public figures to remind people of what a privilege it is to just be yourself, you know? It is just something that so many people take for granted. And that, you know, if any queer person is still struggling with that identity or being honest or open about it, it makes me feel like we still have a job to do.
It's very easy now to look back and see that in adolescence and our early 20s, we were not just building a career, we were building a community for ourselves. Our queer identity and our activism has been the thread that has stitched our personal lives and our professional lives together. For both of us, the greatest gift of this life and career has been the opportunity to redistribute our time, energy, and money back into the community that we belong to and that we care so deeply for.
So you guys sound really comfortable with where you're at in terms of your career. Maybe I'll finish by asking this. Where are you guys at in terms of being twins?
You know, this year Sarah and her partner had a baby, and we have had over 3 years off the road, and those two things have, I think, helped us to really individuate as adults and as twins. You know, Sarah having a kid, it's like, that's more important than the band. I don't know that we've always felt that there's been anything more important than our band, and now it's like there is. And in
I don't know. I thought my cat was pretty important.
well, I was going to say that I think that it's what it did was it revealed that there was always something more important than our band, us. The commitment we made to this isn't about music and money. It was about us. I don't want to let Sarah down. I don't want to abandon her in this project. We did this together. We built something really cool together. In a way, music and our career, it's like a kid in itself. And that's more important, the relationship between us. So as twins, I see us now as absolutely a superpower. You know, we can kind of do anything. We're carrying a lot right now. We're doing a lot of projects, a book and a TV show and touring and making music. She's raising a kid. I have a border collie German shepherd. That could be a whole episode here. I mean, like raising a dog, like double working dog, that's a lot. What can't we do?